That's the wrong question. How many have not been here before? That's the right question. Welcome to Veggie Fest. I'm not quite sure if you know, but this is the largest vegetarian fest in the North America. It's also one of the largest in the world. I'm Sandy Coleman, and I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I'm one of the hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that fly in to make this happen, and that's why you get it free. This afternoon we have a great speaker, and I just want to let you know all the recipes not only will be on her website, but it will also be on VeggieFestChicago.com. In fact, every recipe, in fact, she did a beautiful demo yesterday in tip 3, I believe. Her recipe from yesterday will also be there. So go to the site and you can download all the recipes. This is Julie Marie Christensen. Very good. I'm from the West Coast. I have hard time sometimes. Is the creative director and recipe developer of ProtectiveDiet.com. Director and educator at Protective Diet Ed. Television chef on Health Logo. Sorry, Julie. Cooking instructor for Humana, public speaker, creator of the Protective Diet 30-Day Whole Food Detox and Taste Bud. The Protective Diet has guided thousands of students to reverse disease and reach their ideal body weight. Julie specializes in eliminating obesity and food addictions with her innovative original oil, sugar, nut, and additive-free recipes, along with PD Ed. PD Ed is a live, interactive, weekly webcast to make adopting this diet and lifestyle affordable, rewarding, and sustainable. As you guys notice, the camera is on. This is actually a live broadcast that's being broadcast across the world as she does this demo for us today. And you can probably tell us more about that, right, Julie? Thank you. Let's give her a hand.
Good afternoon. I hope everyone's having a great weekend at Veggie Fest. How many of you attended my demo yesterday and you came back for more? Excellent. Thanks for coming back. And I am very excited. I see some familiar faces that are enrolled in Protective Diet Education. It's the online program she was talking about. I do a weekly live broadcast that is available globally, all over the world. And I teach how to adopt this lifestyle and apply it to reverse disease and eliminate obesity, food addiction, food cravings. We are now broadcasting live across the world. We're able to bring this demo from Veggie Fest to anyone. We have viewers in the Netherlands. It's 9:30 at night, and they're excited. They get to be in Chicago at Veggie Fest with us. It's pretty awesome. Technology is great, and my husband Jerry is so awesome to hook all this up for us. So, yeah. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Julie Marie Christensen, and I teach nutritional intervention to reverse disease and eliminate obesity, food cravings, and food addictions. I created Protective Diet after spending my 20s sick and obese. I had heart disease, I had chronic pain. I was suffering from depression, anxiety. I was having anxiety attacks on a regular basis and having to medicate myself due to this. I had eczema. I had acne, severe acne, and I topically treated it with all kinds of different things and didn't realize what I was putting in my body was causing all this irritation and reaction. I suffered with allergies and constipation, plantar fasciitis. I had gout. All of these things were related to what I was eating. They were all related to diet. Although, unfortunately, my doctors kept topically treating everything and not asking me, well, what are you putting in your body that's creating all of these reactions in my 20s? So I was very fatigued. This was causing problems, and I suffered from back pain, neck pain. I couldn't do my job in my 20s, inactive. So I decided to study plant-based nutrition and its application to reverse disease. I did many experiments on myself and anyone that would allow me to try my recipes on them and see how they felt. I did these experiments to eliminate my food cravings and my food addictions because that was my struggle. I was eating a vegan diet and I thought that this would change everything, but this was me in the before picture eating a vegan diet. I was eating a vegan diet with all of the good things like oil and avocados and nuts and sugar. I was still eating vegan cupcakes on occasion, and it kept me in this unhealthy state, and those things I listed were all present, except I was able to reverse the high cholesterol. But I was still struggling, obese, and having other physical problems. No one was really attracted to veganism when I presented it to them as a healthy lifestyle because I didn't represent health. So I worked on the food cravings. I worked on the foods that were keeping me obese, and I eliminated them out of my diet. When I eliminated these foods, food additives, oils, nuts, avocados, and coconut, the weight fell off of me. I was also able to practice this diet and lifestyle of a protective diet without any struggle. For years, I would go to bed at night and I would lay down and I would pray and say, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to get through tomorrow 100% on a healthy vegan diet. And I would sabotage myself. I'd make it through breakfast and lunch. By the time dinner came around, I was craving so badly that I would go through a drive-thru and pick up fries, or I would eat candy and things like that. So with removing all of these things out of my diet, I eliminated the cravings completely. And I found the food additives in my foods, in the processed vegan foods and healthy foods that I thought they were causing me to be drawn back to them on a daily basis, sabotaging my efforts. So once the weight fell off with applying a protective diet 100% without struggle, I was doing this without any exercise. And in this before picture, I was exercising at least 5 times a week, sometimes 7, spin classes. I was killing myself in the gym to maintain this heavy weight. And once I removed these empty fats out of my diet and sugars and food additives, it fell off and I was able to maintain it. Now I exercise for pleasure, just because I like to be active, because I have more pep in my step. I'm smaller, I can move easier. But I don't practice any type of regular routine to maintain my weight. It's just for pleasure. So I wanted to ask if anyone here in the audience, is anyone here to improve their health during Veggie Fest? Is that why you came? You want to eat a healthier diet? Can I see a raise of hands for anyone that's struggling with heart disease or high cholesterol or high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes? These things are all reversible with a protective diet. My students that are applying a protective diet reverse all of these things quickly and easily, and they're able to eliminate their medications under their doctor's care and checkups. So I just want to bring that to your attention and bring that forward, because that's something that sometimes isn't offered in a doctor's office. They don't mention, hey, you can make these improvements and reverse these diseases. So I want you to be aware this is a possibility. So I want to mention a protective diet is a low-fat, whole-food, plant-based diet that eliminates foods that cause cravings and promote disease. So foods like oils, nuts, sugar, food additives, and all animal products are removed out of the diet. So it is a vegan diet, but it's a very clean vegan diet. It's a diet that reduces inflammation in the system and in turn reduces disease. So I'm a self-trained chef, and I develop simple but innovative cooking techniques and recipes to follow along with this plan that I created. And they're free of all the empty sugars and fats, and I specialize in comfort food favorites because I find that's when we fall off. It might be the holidays and we're like, oh, I have to have mom's stuffing and gravy. I can't go through Thanksgiving without mashed potatoes. Well, I can't either, and so I came up with recipes to replace all of our comfort food favorites. Today we're doing guiltless bacon. baked mac and cheese. And hopefully you'll find this to be as great as any mac and cheese you've ever tried. And it's full of whole grains. We're doing it on a whole wheat noodle. And this diet we promote starch. We promote carbohydrates in the form of whole grains and fruits and vegetables and beans. So this one falls right into place. I'm going to start off. Does anyone have any questions about a protective diet so far? Everybody's... Yes, you can do this with a gluten-free pasta noodle. If you have celiac disease or gluten intolerant, you can do this with a brown rice pasta noodle or any grain of your choice. The only issue with the brown rice noodles is I like to make food in batches so I can freeze and have it on hand. They soak up all the sauce like that, so I would keep them separate if you do this recipe. So what we're gonna start with is 4 cups of soy milk. You could use homemade rice milk as well. I teach my students to remove food additives out of their diet, like natural flavor is found in a lot of plant-based milks. That will cause cravings. And I want you to eliminate that feeling of always looking for something or wanting something. So this soy milk, Trader Joe's is a great provider of unsweetened plain soy milk. All it contains is filtered water and organic whole soybeans. West Soy also makes a great one. All it has is soybeans and water. Or you can make your own homemade rice milk, which I have a recipe to do that if you have a high-speed blender on protectivediet.com. It's really simple and inexpensive to make your own rice milk. So I'm going to add this to my pan, reserving about a cup. So I'm starting with 3 cups of soy milk. And this recipe is on the Veggie Fest website as well as protectivediet.com. And then I'm taking the other cup and I'm putting it in with 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And you could use just your regular grocery store cornstarch. If you're getting it more into organics, you could use, this one's an organic cornstarch, it's up to you. You're still going to see a major advancement in your health, even if you do all conventionally grown produce. You don't have to go 100% organic or organic at all to see a change if you're currently eating a standard American diet and changing over to a protective diet. So what we're going to do is turn on our burner and bring this soy milk to a boil. And while it's heating up, I'm going to add garlic. Hopefully you guys have seen cloves of garlic before. Some of you are using garlic that's in a jar and it's all pre-chopped and handy. That has food additives in it and can cause food cravings. So I want you to go with the cheapest route, buy garlic in the package it comes in, and press it yourself. Get yourself a garlic press. You don't even have to chop it or handle the garlic. It's really quick and easy to work with. Grab a knife. And you just press it through the garlic press and it comes out in little bits. In this recipe, we're going to put 3 tablespoons of fresh garlic, or I'm sorry, 3 cloves of fresh garlic. Sorry, I'm splashing from here. So this dish is a great Monday night dinner. It takes less time to prepare the sauce for the mac and cheese than it does to boil the water for pasta. So before I started assembling my sauce, I would have put my big pot of water on to boil my noodles in and cook it as the package directs. And then we're also going to add a tablespoon of chopped dried onion. Chopped dried onion has a completely different flavor than fresh. The question was, why aren't I using fresh? And your dried herbs have great antioxidant value. Sometimes we wipe them off to the side as just additions to our dishes, but they do pack a punch of antioxidants, especially your green dried herbs. So that's going to give a different flavor. It almost gives a flavor like a soup mix, and all it contains is onions. And then we're going to add sea salt. And this you can do if you're restricting your sodium in your diet, you can cut it back. This recipe has 2 teaspoons. And I've been practicing a protective diet for a long time, so I usually cut it back to 1. But I want to mention that because a lot of people are adopting this plan from a standard American diet, and if you were eating a standard mac and cheese out of a box, or even the healthier versions they have in the health food store, that contains way more sodium than what I just added. So I'm adding black pepper, and I'm going to whisk this up a little bit. And we're just waiting for it to come to a boil. Now the cornstarch, we're using this as a thickening agent in this dish. So we're eliminating what are some of the cheeses that you guys use, the vegan cheeses, if you're on a vegan diet? Is there anyone here practicing a vegan diet? What brands are Diet cheese? Diet cheeses and teas, those are some of the ones on the market. They're very high in fat, they're very high in sodium, and most of it's just oil that they add into it. And we know oil, most of us know now that olive oil, any oil on the market, all it is 100% fat. And we've learned from Dr. McDougall and leading doctors that are teaching whole food, plant-based diet that the fat you eat is the fat you wear. And that's exactly what was going on with me in that picture. I removed the fat out of my vegan diet and the weight fell off. So we're eliminating the fats of traditional vegan mac and cheese. So we're improving a vegan recipe with a protective diet recipe. So I'm just waiting for this to come up to a boil. And when it starts to boil, then we're gonna add this, I call this a slurry. It's hard soy milk and then the 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, and it's gonna thicken. Add this in. Make sure when you're making this sauce, you use a pot that's big enough too, because the soy milk will tend to boil over if you're using a small saucepan. And then this cooled down our sauce a bit, so we're waiting for it to come back to a boil. And when it starts boiling again, we'll whisk it for about 1 to 2 minutes until it thickens, and then it's going to be ready. And we're going to add a few more ingredients to it. Does anyone have any questions so far about the recipe or a protective diet?
Here we go.
Yes. Right. We've eliminated the nuts out of the diet because a protective diet, what we're doing is we're reprogramming our taste buds so that they're comfortable without the fats in our diet. Because when we first give up the fats, we're searching. Our taste buds are searching in our salad dressings. If we're eating salad dressings that don't contain oil, they taste kind of flat in the beginning. This is what I'm explaining. So in order to get over the fat flavors on our taste buds and not feel like we're missing them, we need to eliminate the fats out of our diet completely. Nuts are very creamy in texture and very high in fat compared to their protein quantity. And we can find all of the nutrients that are found in nuts and other fruits and vegetables that don't contain excess amounts of fat that will cause our taste buds to be searching for fats when we're eating non-fat foods. So I eliminate the nuts on a protective diet to eliminate the cravings for high-fat foods. If I taste some nuts, say I take a handful of nuts today and I haven't had nuts in years, I would cause my taste buds to not appreciate this mac and cheese the way I do today. Studies have now proven that 2.5 weeks on a diet free of fats, your taste buds don't search for fats anymore. So I say 30 days on a protective diet and the food tastes amazing. Bless you. So that's why I don't eat the nuts. When I would eat a handful of nuts, I would want another handful of nuts, and then another cup of nuts would be slipping in. And if I had avocado, I would think about when can I have avocado again. And a lot of the low-fat plant-based diets out there for disease reversal allow for some nuts on occasion, like McDougall's plan, if you're familiar with him. That's where we differ. I don't allow them at all because they cause me cravings. And then all I think about is when can I have that cashew cream sauce again? And when I eat it, I can't eat a couple cups of it. I want the whole pan of it because it's it's delicious, and it's in nature that we're attracted to these high-fat foods. It's for survival that we're attracted to them. So when we cut them out completely, we no longer think about them. So now what I'm adding to this is what's going to give it the cheesy taste. This is nutritional yeast. This is technically a vitamin supplement that you can find in your bulk bins at Whole Foods, or you can find it in your vitamin store in a can like this. I actually order it because I teach cooking classes. I order it from bulkfoods.com. You can order it in larger quantities so that it's cheaper. But I go through a lot of it because I create a recipe a week for my Protective Diet students to keep them excited about eating a protective diet. So I'm going through a lot of supplies compared to the average person. So I'm adding a cup of this to this recipe, and this is going to make it taste nice and cheesy. The cornstarch made it nice and thick. Grab a spoon so you can see. You can see the sauce is thick. And this is what the cornstarch did for us. And then we're going to add, I'm just whisking this in until it's nice and smooth. This sauce is pretty much done. Now I'm pouring in my pasta noodles into my boiling water. My pasta isn't even boiled, and I have this beautiful mac and cheese sauce ready for a Monday night dinner. Next thing we're going to add is some peas. And this recipe is great for kids because usually they're not going to eat peas on the side of their plate, but I found it consistent that kids love this mac and cheese, and they love it even with the peas. They say, make sure you got the peas. And it's surprising to a lot of parents, but I think in with the pasta and this awesome sauce, they don't care. They like it. It's not like an intimidating side dish of plain peas. Then the last ingredient we're going to add before we add the pasta to it is parsley. And I want to talk to you a little bit about using fresh herbs. On a protective diet, we incorporate a lot of parsley and cilantro into our diet because it adds a lot of flavor, and it also adds a lot of nutrients. These leafy greens are just as nutrient dense as if you ate spinach or kale. It's got all the vitamins in there, if not more. So we use them a lot. So in order to have these on hand, this is just a little tip about storing herbs. I want you to get these home from the grocery store. Take them out of that plastic bag because they're all wet in there. And if you don't clean them the night you get them home, they're going to be limp tomorrow and you're going to throw them away and you just wasted a couple bucks. You can get parsley 3 for $1 if you're buying it non-organic, which I encourage you to buy non-organics if that's what you can afford, because they still are so good for you. Don't avoid produce altogether because you can't afford the organics. Buy it. If you're buying organics, it's going to cost you about $2 for a bunch, maybe twice the size of this. So I want you to use every last leaf of this, not leave it in your refrigerator to wilt down. So take it, put it in a big bowl. I don't have one for an example. Fill it with water in your sink and swish it around. Drain it off. Do this about 3 times till there's no sand in the bottom of the bowl. You got the idea. Thank you. So you're putting it in there, filling it with water, and then draining it off. Do this 3 times till it's nice and clean. Then I want you to stand it up in the bowl and you're making your dinner or whatever you're doing that night when you got it home from the store. And then I want you to take a clean kitchen towel and place it in a container. It can be a glass container. You could even just put it back in the bag you bought from the grocery store. Reverse it so it's got a clean side, and roll the herbs up in the clean, dry towel. Now put this in your fridge, and this will stay fresh, fresher than when you actually bought it because you did this little watering treatment to it, for a week. So every time you need parsley in a recipe, you have it ready, washed, ready to go. The other thing is after a week, if you haven't used all this parsley, which you probably would on a protective diet, so I buy 3 bunches a week and I use them all, change the towel out after 7 days. Put a new clean fresh towel on it and it will last for 2 weeks. If you have it left for the 3rd week, rinse it again in the water to bring it back to life and wrap it in another clean towel. So on this recipe, we're using about a quarter cup of parsley. When I make this for my husband Jerry and I at home, we're accustomed to eating a lot of herbs. We'll put a lot more than what's written on the recipe. So feel free, if you like parsley, go for it. In the beginning, if it's a new flavor to you, just put a tablespoon. Don't tell your kids it's in there, because they're going to be like, I don't like parsley, and they've never even tasted it. So if you chop it up finely enough, you're not going to even know that it's in there, and it's going to add a freshness. Adding herbs to your dishes is a great idea to give it more of a gourmet flavor and feel for a very low price point. Parsley is very inexpensive as long as you prep it and store it properly so that you get to use every last leaf. Nothing's wasted. Does anyone have any questions so far about the storing herbs? Yes, after you wrap up this parsley, you want to put the cover on it and put it in your refrigerator. Now, if you are storing basil, you can do the same thing with basil. It'll last beautifully. It might turn a little dark, and that's just from bruising, but it's still good to use. Cilantro, chives, green onions, wash them when you get them home and wrap them up, because just like the parsley, they'll get all slimy and you won't be able to use them completely. So we're going to add that in at the end. I always add my herbs in after I'm done cooking my sauce to retain their color and their flavor. And then we're going to put the pasta in. And if you're using a big enough saucepan, you can mix it right in there. Now this recipe online has you pour it into a baking dish and bake it. And top it with a breadcrumb topping. And you can take it to that next level. Say it's Sunday, and you have more time and you're going to bake this as well. Go for it. Today, the samples they're giving out to you, they're just prepared just as I have on the stovetop. They're not taken to the baking level. So you get to sample the easy baked mac and cheese. So it's not really totally baked. So those will be coming out to you in a couple minutes. So any questions? You have to speak up a little. This pasta, this one is from Trader Joe's. It's an organic whole wheat. The one that I have there is from Whole Foods. It's an organic whole wheat mac noodle, a macaroni noodle. If you're serving kids, you want to definitely get the macaroni-shaped noodle because that's what they're used to. If you're making this for adults, I like the bigger size noodles. But any type of noodle will work great in this recipe. And this dish is very inexpensive. If we go through the ingredients that I used, a box of soy milk from Trader Joe's here in Chicago is only $1.69 a box. That's a great question. If you want to add mustard to this, because she usually does on her baked mac and cheese recipe, which is a great idea because you want it to taste as familiar as possible to you, add your mustard. Look on your mustard label. There's a food additive that they slip in some mustards, and it's called spices. And that, you think it's a spice, but it lists out all the spices like turmeric and vinegar, and then all of a sudden the last word is spices. And that is an MSG derivative. And you can look them up online, code words for MSG. Those are put in there purposely to get you to eat more of their product and love their product and crave their product. They actually test these chemicals out. There's another one that's very common that you should watch out for called natural flavor. And it's in a lot of healthy looking items, organic items. I find organic mustard most commonly consists of these food additives. And I think it's because they have more money to work with to produce this product, so they want to put everything in there to get you to come back for more. You could use mustard powder, but your regular grocery store mustards, your yellow mustard that's labeled your grocery store brand, those usually don't have food additives. So start looking when you're shopping. I use spicy brown mustard often. That one doesn't have additives generally, unless you're buying the name brand one, then they add them. Those food additives, they do studies on rats where they give them food with the food additives on them, and the rats continue to eat until they're wider than they are long. And then the rats that are eating the food, the same exact food that doesn't have those additives on them, they stop eating and they go do about their business of their day. We're going through this. I was going through this because I was eating healthy food, but I couldn't stop eating the healthy food. So when I removed these additives out of my diet, that is when I could eat dinner and say, I'm done. Before, when I had the additives, I'd find myself back in my kitchen looking around for something to eat, and I wasn't even hungry, but I wanted something, and I couldn't identify what it was. So I would eat sweets because that's traditional. We eat a dessert after dinner. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does it. I don't do it anymore, and I'm freed of this constant pulling back into the kitchen. I'm so relieved that I figured out what was causing it for me. But, okay. Oh, there is a sign-up sheet going around collecting your name and email if you want to get entered in to win a free phone coaching session with me or 1 month of Protective Diet Education. Protective Diet Education is an online course. So I've designed this to make it affordable for anyone to receive my coaching, and it's I teach a new lesson every Tuesday at 8 p.m. online, and you can interact with other students in the class. We have chat meets where you can ask me any question. You can ask me any questions live during the class. And I also give you a new recipe every week to keep you excited. We also have a support group called Protective Diet Living. And this support group is incredible. It's filled with tons of people that are practicing a protective diet. And I recognize some of you in the audience from that group. And they're all having incredible results and success applying this lifestyle on a daily basis. So join that group, Protective Diet Living. It's on the front of protectivediet.com. There's a little blue support group button. You can click that and join that. It's a free support group. I welcome anyone. I hope to see some of you in there interacting. I answer questions up to usually 3 times a day. I check in just to make sure everybody's doing okay, and if you have any questions about the recipes or the application. Yes? Hand browning, great question. So I came up with some newer techniques. People that are familiar with doing oil-free cooking, maybe you were water sauteing onions to cook them to start a soup or a recipe. I do a technique that's called dry browning. So I actually put the onions in a dry pan like this, a stainless steel pan, put it on high, put the onions in dry, let them brown, let them stick to the bottom of the pan, and then we add a liquid to release them. And they come right off the bottom of the pan, and all the browning of the onion is incorporated. You can caramelize onions without oil this way. I have a dry browning video that's on protectivediet.com that I demonstrate just exactly that, along with a lot of cooking videos. If you guys are interested in oil-free cooking, it's a great resource to watch the cooking videos and learn how to do it. Sure. What does sugar-free mean on a protective diet? So I don't include any sugars in my diet. So anything that's going to cause my taste buds to not notice the sweetness in natural fruit. So I did a lot of experimenting on myself to see what would cause these triggers, and I found if I included agave nectar, it's the same as sugar. Studies have shown it's just a syrup form. Maple syrup, it's the same as sugar on your taste buds. It will cause you to want sweetness in foods. So I only incorporate liquid stevia, that's one of the sweeteners that I use to sweeten recipes, or erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol that's been proven not to cause any digestive disruption. There are some sugar alcohols on the market that will cause severe bloating and discomfort. Erythritol is actually made from corn, and it's a natural artificial sweetener that doesn't cause any disruption in the digestive system in most people, and it's been around since they started testing it in the early 1900s, so it's been around a long time. Honey will cause the same disruption in your taste buds and cause issues with diabetics trying to reverse diabetes. It will cause me cravings because if I eat honey, then I'm going to want more sweets. I'm not going to eat an apple and go, oh my gosh, this is the best apple I've ever eaten. It's so sweet. Because I had this sweetness of this honey that caused, it's concentrated. It will cause you, there's nothing sweeter than honey, to be honest. So I don't include it. Eating out. A good example of going out to eat would be if I went out for Mexican food, which is my favorite, I would, when everyone sits down and they're eating their fried tortilla chips, which I'm hoping that they passed out did you guys get the postcards with the recipes on them? No. Where's Jerry? Jerry! Hand out the recipe cards. There's a recipe card with a faux guacamole that doesn't use any avocados and a chips recipe to bake your own tortilla chips, which are a main staple in the diet. Corn's a whole grain, so we eat a lot of corn tortillas. So when I go out for Mexican food, I order about 10 to 12 fresh corn tortillas, and I ask the server to bring it to me warmed when everyone else is eating their fried chips. I take my tortillas and I put the salsa on them or I dip it in, and I enjoy them when everyone else is enjoying their chips. So I feel part of the party, and I love tortillas. They're very satisfying and they're very low in calorie, and they're a whole grain. Then when dinner time comes and I'm ordering, I usually ask them to prepare a salad off menu because they don't generally have salads in Mexican restaurants. And I ask them to bring it to me with like salsa verde or a different type of salsa than I had with my appetizer, which they have many different kinds in Mexican restaurants. And I eat the salad with the salsa and I put it in more corn tortillas. And my dinner averages probably about 500 to 600 calories for that Mexican dinner, where everyone else that ate the standard Mexican, they ate over 2,000 calories worth of chips and their dish. On average, a lot of people ask me, how many calories a day are you eating? I am constantly eating. I eat voluminous amounts of food, but it's very low calorie when we remove the fats. So I average probably about 500 to 600 calories per meal 3 times a day. And that keeps me at my weight without having to do any exercise or struggle. My weight stays the same. I don't measure. At 500 to 600 calories, I'm stuffed. I'm full of whole food. So that's when I learned when to stop eating when I hit that full feeling. Before, I never got the full feeling because I was craving foods. And so I'm free. I feel free. I'm sorry, I couldn't see you. Peas? Peas are very nutritious. Any vegetable that grows from the ground, especially our green vegetables or more colorful vegetables, they're very nutritious. It's a wonderful food to add into the diet. Any fruits and vegetables, I just remove the extracted oils because they're processed food. They no longer contain their vitamins and nutrients. If you look at the back of an olive oil bottle or a coconut oil bottle, there is no nutrients in there. All it contains is fat. So why are we pouring fat all over our food if we're trying to reverse disease or reduce our body fat? It just doesn't make any sense. But marketing has led us to believe that we need these healthy fats. Healthy fats are found in your peas. These peas contain just the amount of fat that we need in order to absorb the vitamins and nutrients in these peas. There's just the right amount of fat in our whole grain pasta to absorb all the vitamins and nutrients. Whole plant-based foods are perfect in their natural form. So we don't need to add extracted fats to any of the foods as long as we're eating a variety. Please. On salads, we have replaced all of our favorite salad dressings. On protectivediet.com, you'll find a Caesar salad dressing, a ranch. There's several different Italian dressings, sweet vinaigrettes, and we just make them with the base being water and chia seeds. That replaces our oil. It thickens, it coats the salad, and after 2.5 weeks of being off the oil, your taste buds aren't searching searching for that oily texture. They're searching for thick and flavorful textures. So I eat the best salads. But at first, when I first started out, I thought I wasn't going to make it because my salad dressing was a little flat. But a couple weeks into it, without any fats, I was good. I want to invite one of my students up here, if she wouldn't mind coming up and saying hi and maybe sharing her experience on a protective diet. This is Robinlee. She'll share a little bit about how she's feeling. She's been practicing a protective diet. She'll have to tell you. I can't keep track of everybody. I'm sorry.
We're the Madonna mate. Hi, I'm Robinlee Garber. I'm over at the Chicago Vegan Mania booth, and I was a junk food vegan. And I've dropped, I don't really know, and it sounds kind of crazy, but after the first month of getting on protective diet, I lost the 10 pounds, and then I decided I was just going to see, like, I had this wardrobe of clothing, and I just was going to see how far I could go without getting on the scale, and I pretty much stuffed my face full of Julie's food, and I'm telling you, the weight kind of fell off, and I think I've dropped, I don't know, 30, 40 pounds since January. So I think I'm pretty fit, and the thing was I look really healthy, but I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis when I was 8, and I've had a lot of knee surgeries, and I'm not somebody who can go to the gym and do CrossFit, and I don't jog. And one of the things I loved about Julie's website, one of the things that she talks about is, you know, feeling like a hamster on a treadmill kind of thing. And I really, especially this winter with the snow, I couldn't really go out. I was so afraid of falling from all the ice and the snow, and I had this big dog that was pulling me down. I didn't really exercise all that much. If I took that dog around the block, you know, it was a good day. And I was walking very carefully. So I kind of stopped with the compulsive exercise, and I started with the most delicious creamy recipes, like the natto cheese sauce and the faux guacamole that you have on the recipe cards. Make that. I bring that stuff into my coworkers at work, and they're like, this is like the best tasting stuff ever. You know, make the hush puppies. This diet is not about deprivation, and I was really big into, like, well, I'm just going to have kale smoothies and I'm going to detox, and it wasn't that way. I ate like a normal person, having all this great food at 500-600 calories. My coworkers are like, you eat like a pig, and how are you losing all this weight? And you know, it was really everything. I look at the ingredients, I'm like, I'm eating so much, but it's all plants, it's all greens, it's all whole grains, and what Julie's, and I don't even know about camouflage. I mean, it's just, vegetables are beautiful in and of itself, but, you know, as a vegan for many years and as a vegetarian, I kept thinking, oh, I need yogurt for the acidophilus. Well, Julie has a recipe to make yogurt now, so I make my own yogurt, and it's really, really easy. And my own cheese made from soy. And, you know, I would tell myself, oh, I need the coconut, the extra fatty acids. No, you really don't. The other thing, too, is in February, from the cold, I had really bad arthritis symptoms. I couldn't turn my head. I was limping. My hands were swollen. I had a lot of pain. I was at least 40 pounds overweight. My knee was really swollen. And as soon as I started to lose the weight and stop eating the oil and stop eating the nuts, I was having all this digestive problems because I kept thinking, well, nuts are really good for me. It was like all my symptoms were just like dropping off one by one. So for those of you with arthritis or inflammatory disease, I've been on every kind of drug out there for arthritis, and it really does amazing things. And the other thing I want to say before you take this mic back is the support group is really amazing. These are not celebrities. We're not watching Beyonce and J-Lo, you know, oh, I'm vegan. You go online and you're going to see people who are like 300-400 pounds who could barely walk, and they've lost like 200 pounds. And they're real human beings. A lot of them are in the deep south, you know, like the Paula Deen types. They're like deep fry my butter kind of people, and they're eating like incredible food, and it's so inspirational when you go online and you see these people talk about all the weight that they've lost. And I just really am grateful for finding Protective Diet. It's just awesome. And Julie's awesome. She's adorable. So, anyway.
She mentioned how some of the students that we're working with, a lot of them don't cook at all. Like they were going through the drive-through 3 times a day. That's how they got to the point that they were in an obese state or ill or challenged with heart disease. Heart disease is our #1 killer, and someone dies every minute of a heart attack, and we can stop that completely with a protective diet. Great question. Soy sauce and Bragg's Aminos does contain MSG or MSG-like additives. Buy Tamari. It's an additive-free soy sauce. You can find it in all your grocery stores now, from Jewel to Whole Foods. I also want to mention on Friday at 11:30, I have a free cooking class offered by Humana's Guidance Center here in Naperville, Illinois. Every month I have a free cooking class that they host there. This Friday at 11:30 we'll be doing mini veggie burgers along with popsicles, and we're doing the cooking demo outside, a lot like this, at their farmers market. So they also have a farmers market there for you to shop from as well. If you're not familiar with Humana Guidance Center and what they offer, check them out online at their Naperville Guidance Center. They have many free programs that are available to the community to promote health and wellness. So that's a great resource for all of you that live here in Naperville, Illinois, or that are nearby.
There's another question to it.
Sure. I don't have a cookbook. I have an online cookbook. So it's a subscription-based cookbook. On protectivediet.com, there's 123 free recipes. And if you go to the website and you click on recipes, there will be a drop-down that says free recipes. Click on there, and you can access all those recipes. If you want the newer recipes, they'll have the name exclusive in the title. And those are part of a subscription base called Protective Diet Education. That's my online program that I'm broadcasting to now. Actually, this is being broadcasted to anyone that wants to view it. You can go back and view it later. Or if you have a friend that wants to see it, it will be available. And in the support group Protective Diet Living, you'll be able to find the link. But the Protective Diet Education is the subscription base for $19.97 a month. And I'm your coach. I tried to make affordable coaching reach anyone in the world and share what I've found to be proven to work for myself and hundreds of my students. So I don't think it should be limited to people that can afford to hire me to work with them one-on-one in this area. I want to reach anyone in the world. So the internet's made it possible. And on that program, I provide a new recipe, at least one new recipe a week to keep people excited. Yes?
Yeah, coconut aminos have MSG.
Coconut aminos, yes. If you read the ingredients on any of those products, he's asking about coconut aminos having MSGs. They will say things like a technique of how they prepared it, usually called texturized, and that's not an ingredient. And they add these words in, and you're wondering, oh, well that makes sense. They did this processing to it. But that word is generally a food additive, almost always. So coconut aminos is an extracted food. It's the protein from coconut taken out. It is no longer a whole food, and our body doesn't really know what to do with those non-whole foods. So if we take like a whole food like a grain of corn, it has the perfect amount of protein, carbohydrate, and fat, all three nutrients that we get from all of our plant-based foods, and they're in balance, and the body knows what to do with it. It's loaded with phytochemicals that make those vitamins and everything work like a symphony in the body. Where if we take isolated vitamins, those are not going to work in the body like if you ate a piece of spinach. It doesn't have all those phytochemicals that science doesn't even know about half of them yet. We're just learning and naming them as we go along and finding what their jobs are in helping vitamin absorption. We don't need to add proteins to our diet if we're eating a variety of different whole plant-based foods. It will be the perfect amount of protein. How do you get your protein is a common question we get on a vegetarian diet and definitely on a protective diet, because I don't allow any protein supplementation, which we don't need. If you look at, I use the example of breast milk. At the time of our lives where we have the most growth, breast milk contains, I believe it's between 6 to 8% protein. Am I right? I know. Is that right? She knows. So 6 to 8% protein. At the time in our life, we have the most growth. And here we are in our 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s or into our 70s, and we're supplementing protein into a whole foods diet. It doesn't make any sense. We don't need any more than 8 to 10% protein, and that's perfectly found in all whole plant-based foods. Sure. Any more questions? Yes.
Specifically, what is the diet?
Plantar fasciitis, I suffered with that in my 20s. It's a really bad pain in your foot. You could look it up to see what it is technically, but I relieved it by losing weight and reducing the inflammation. I believe those were the two combinations that caused the change. I didn't even expect that to go away because some other people in my family had it, so I just figured it was hereditary. I don't believe in hereditary illness any longer. There's certain things that can cause us to be more predispositioned to getting these ailments or diseases, but if we change our diet and our lifestyle and the health path that everyone in our family is walking the same path, we change to a plant-based diet, we lose weight, we get to our ideal body weight, all of those ailments go away. So that's what happened. I would wake up in the morning and I would have such bad pain in my heel I couldn't walk down the stairs. And I was in my 20s and I was hobbling along like I was a senior that hadn't been active. So yeah, if you're suffering with that, I highly recommend a diet like a protective diet, because you're going to have reduced the inflammation in your diet. You're eating non-inflammatory foods, arthritis, things like that, MS, any autoimmune disease. We see the reversal or the stop in progression when we apply a protective diet free of saturated fat. Pardon me? Seeds. She's asking if we eat seeds. I don't use like tahini, like nut butter paste seeds blended in that fashion. I use chia seeds to thicken things. So if I use seeds like flax seeds or chia seeds, they're used as an aid in creating a thickening recipe. There's no reason that we need to supplement these seeds into our diet, because we have a perfect balance of omega-3 and 6 when we're eating a variety of whole plant-based foods. Sesame seeds, if you're using them as a garnish on something, that's fine, because they're not going to cause that response like if you ate tahini paste, which is a ground sesame seed. That's a very creamy, high-fat food, and it's going to cause that reprogramming of my taste buds to be affected, and I'm going to want more. When I had tahini in my refrigerator, I could eat it with a spoon. It's delicious. But that was my problem. I would always be craving these creamy fat foods. So I eliminated them and I no longer think about them. All right. So any more questions coming through? We're good? Thanks for joining me today. And I hope, what did you guys think of the mac and cheese? Did you like it? Good. We have some more samples up here. If anyone didn't get a sample or wants another sample, please help yourselves.